Hawaii looks exactly like the brochure. The water is that color. Nobody is lying to you about the scenery. What the brochure leaves out is what's behind the tree line. The concrete shells, the fenced off lots, the buildings that were supposed to be the next great luxury destination and ended up as a golf pro shop in a rotting structure, or a foreclosure auction with one bidder, or a $24 million piece of empty land going nowhere. Outside money has been arriving in Hawaii for over a century, convinced it found the perfect investment. Japanese billionaires, mainland hedge funds, Las Vegas hotel chains. They came with renderings and champagne, most left in bankruptcy filings and court dates. Here are 7 properties they left behind. And the economic story nobody in the tourism industry is rushing to tell you. Number 1, Coco Palms Resort, Kauai. On the east side of Kauai, at the mouth of the Waikoloa River, there is a fenced-off demolition site that has been some version of a disaster for 32 years. Most visitors drive past it on the way to the beach. The coconut palms above it were planted in 1896. Before the resort, before the hurricane, before any of the developers who would cycle through this property like a slow-motion parade of failed ambition. When it opened in 1953, Coco Palms was the defining image of mid-century Hawaiian luxury. Over 400 rooms, nightly torch lighting ceremonies. Elvis Presley filmed Blue Hawaii here in 1961. Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby were regulars. What the brochures did not mention was that the land underneath, the mouth of the Wailua River, is ancient Hawaiian royal ground, a birthplace of kings, in legal dispute since 1866. On September 11, 1992, Hurricane Iniki made Category 4 landfall on Kauai. The resort closed and never reopened. Steven Spielberg and the Jurassic Park crew were on the island filming when Iniki hit. They sheltered in the resort's basement. The film finished, the resort did not. What followed was 30 years of outside money cycling through the same piece of sacred land. A preservation group raised a state grant of $234,000. It evaporated in the 2008 financial crisis. Developer Greenwaters LLC partnered with Hyatt in 2016, began demolition, and collapsed via mortgage default in March 2019. The lender, Utah-based Reef Capital Partners, took the title. In July 2021, the property sold at foreclosure auction. One bid, $22 million, paid by Private Capital Group, which was itself the original lender collecting on a defaulted debt. In 2024, Las Vegas-based Kimpton began demolition again for another 350-room resort plan. 10,000 people have signed a petition opposing any resort on the site. The Coconut Grove planted in 1890. 6 is still standing. The land at Coco Palms has been sacred ground, celebrity resort, hurricane ruin, legal battleground, and foreclosure auction item. The one thing it has never successfully been in 32 years of trying is a functioning hotel again. At some point, that stops being bad luck and starts being information. Number 2, Hyatt Regency Waikoloa, Big Island. In September 1988, Christopher Hemmeter opened the most expensive hotel ever built on Earth, $360 million, 62 acres on the Kohala coast. James Michener attended the opening and wrote that it was the kind of place God would have built if he had sufficient cash flow. 5 years later, it sold for $60 million, 1,241 rooms, a Swiss-made monorail, mahogany boats on a canal system, a dolphin lagoon. The money came from a partnership including Japanese investors, the Bass family, and Hyatt. Arriving at the peak of Japanese investment in Hawaii, when Japanese buyers had poured approximately $18 billion into Hawaiian real estate and owned half of Waikiki's hotel rooms. The Nikkei peaked in December 1989 and collapsed. Japanese and California tourism fell simultaneously. Occupancy dropped below the 70% threshold needed just to cover operating costs. And a property with a Swiss monorail and a dolphin program has operating costs that would make a normal hotel manager lose sleep. In October 1993, the resort sold to a consortium of Hilton, Los Angeles-based Colony Capital, and Taiwan-based Pan Global Partners for $60 million. Colony Capital was simultaneously buying distressed Hawaii properties across the state. The Ritz-Carlton Maunalani went for $75 million, $100 million less than construction cost. Japanese investors exiting at a steep loss. Mainland distressed asset buyers absorbing everything at a discount. It's sickety. Million for a $360 million property is 17 cents on the dollar. Hemmeter left Hawaii in 1990, lost much of his remaining wealth on a failed New Orleans casino, and died in 2003. The Hilton Waikoloa Village still operates, but the Waikoloa is the template for everything else on this list. Outside money decides Hawaii is a can't-miss investment. Build something staggering. The economics turn. The money exits at a loss. Someone buys the debt for a fraction. The buildings stay. Number 3, Westin Kauai at Kauai Lagoons. Kauai. On the edge of Kalapaki Beach in Lihue, there is a large building that currently contains a golf pro shop. The rest is rotting. This is what is left of the Westin Kauai, which lasted 4 years and 8 days from opening to permanent closure. Christopher Hemmeter opened it on September 19, 1987. 846 rooms, horse-drawn carriages from the airport, a zoo with 200 exotic animals, mahogany boats on 49 acres of man-made lagoons, European marble statuary throughout, Kauai's largest employer. In 1991, Japanese investment group Shinway Golf acquired the hotel and golf courses for $200 million. They owned it for less than 12 months. Hurricane Iniki hit on September 11, 1992, with the resort at 80% occupancy, $20 to $30 million in damage. Permanent closure. Over 1,000 employees scattered overnight with no notice and no farewell. The hotel went into bank receivership. Marriott acquired it and reopened a scaled-back version in 1995. No animals, no marble, no carriages. The original Hemmeter building was not part of the new operation. The abandoned tennis courts are still visible on satellite imagery. The main building still stands above the Royal Sonesta Kauai, with a golf pro shop in front and deterioration behind. In 2020, 4. Hilton Vacation Club reportedly purchased adjacent land, the third distinct development wave on this stretch of coastline since 1987. $200 million, 12 months of ownership, a golf pro shop. That is the complete arc. Number 4, Ritz-Carlton Residences and Club, Kauai Lagoons. Kauai. On June 6, 2008, Marriott and Ritz-Carlton held a traditional Hawaiian blessing ceremony and broke ground on 2 luxury developments at Kauai Lagoons. 14 private residences starting at $5.1 million each, 72 fractional ownership units starting at $200,000 per 1/18th interest. Occupancy targeted for 2009. Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy 99 days later. The site was already zoned for hotel use inside an established resort community. The hardest permitting hurdle on Kauai already cleared. Developer Kevin Show had also planned 78 grand residences by Marriott, timeshare villas, a Jack Nicklaus redesigned golf course, a spa, and water taxis on the 39-acre lagoon, 750 vacation homes total. By November 2008, the Garden Island News reported a full work stoppage. Neighbors described concrete pillars wrapped and capped in hibernation, piles of dirt going nowhere. Workers had transferred to other projects. The global credit market froze directly on top of the groundbreaking. The private residences eventually became the Timbers Kauai Ocean Club under new ownership. The Ritz-Carlton Club was never completed. The 750-home vision never materialized. Hilton reportedly purchased land on the same footprint in 2024, the 4th development attempt in this general area. They had the zoning, the brands, the blessing, and the financing for 99 days. The pillars are wrapped and capped. That is a very expensive way to describe a hole in the ground. Number 5, Waikiki Landmark, Oahu. At the entrance to Waikiki on Kalakaua Avenue, 2 40-story glass towers are connected by a bridge at the top, visible from miles away. They were supposed to be a super luxury hotel. The Japanese economy had other ideas. Developer Sukanto Sia, former owner of Honolulu Bank, conceived the landmark as twin towers of uncompromising luxury at the gateway to Waikiki, built with materials well above standard hotel requirements. Financed at the peak of Japanese investment enthusiasm, when Japanese buyers owned roughly half of Waikiki's hotel rooms, and the assumption was that the capital flow was permanent rather than cyclical. The Nikkei peaked in December 1989. By the time the landmark was completed in 1992, the market it was built for had ceased to exist. Japanese lenders foreclosed in 1995. Oaktree Capital took it over at pennies on the dollar. The intended hotel became condominiums because the hotel market no longer existed. The Ching family held the underlying land as leasehold and sold the fee interest to unit owners only around 2003. Buyers who purchased in the late 1990s paid roughly 60% off replacement costs, receiving the full product of Japanese capital's peak ambition at a discount. while the original investors absorbed the loss. Today, the Waikiki Landmark is a functioning luxury condominium with units selling between $500,000 and nearly $1 million. It worked out for the people who arrived after the crash. That pattern appears on this list more than once. The distressed asset buyers who show up after the wreckage absorb properties at a fraction of cost and wait. They are the only consistent winners in the cycle. Number 6, Kalawa Koi Resort, Molokai. Molokai has consistently, deliberately, and successfully resisted large-scale tourism. No traffic lights, no direct mainland flights, no resort corridor. As one longtime visitor put it, they are some of the friendliest people in the world, but come in with your big money and big development ideas, and it is a hard no. There is one exception. On the remote West End, on Kapuhi Beach, the ruins of the Kalawa Koi Resort sit alongside a row of privately owned villas with manicured lawns. Deteriorating hotel buildings sharing a property line with well-kept condominiums. The most direct visual of what happens when you build a resort on an island that never agreed to have one. The Sheraton Molokai Hotel opened in 1975. Golf course, beachfront villas. A full resort operation pitched on the premise that remoteness was a selling point. The property changed hands repeatedly over 30 years. Each owner was convinced they had the formula. None did. Water scarcity, no direct air service, a community that had made its preferences known. The resort closed around 2001. The hotel was abandoned. The adjacent villas continued to be maintained, and here is a detail that captures everything. The hotel buildings cannot be demolished because current regulations would not allow the same number of structures to be rebuilt. The ruins are protected from demolition by the very codes designed to limit development. They have to stay. Every other property on this list failed because of a financial crash, a hurricane, or a credit freeze. The Kalawa Koi failed because the island never agreed to the premise. 30 years of ownership changes. The same answer each time. That is not a business failure. That is a negotiation with a foregone conclusion. Number 7, Kupono Resort. Poipu, Kauai, no hurricane, no bubble collapse, no bankruptcy filing, just a 25-acre lot in Poipu that someone paid $24 million for in 2021 and has done nothing with since. This is what the collapse looks like now. Kupono Resort LLC purchased the parcel from Alexander and Baldwin and Arizona-based DMB Associates for $24.24 million. The land sat inside the established Kukui'ula Resort community, already zoned for hotel use. Plans called for a $227 million luxury resort on one of the most development-ready sites on the island. Nothing was built. Construction costs surged after the pandemic. Labor on Kauai is chronically short. Every material ships across the Pacific at a premium. Insurance costs climbed. Financing terms hardened. No single thing killed it, or all of them did at once. As Beat of Hawaii put it, on Kauai, stalled projects do not quickly swap hands and restart. They sit. As of early 2026, the parcel is empty. No groundbreaking, no blessing, no renderings on a fence. The other 6 properties on this list at least got built. This one never got that far. A $24 million empty lot in paradise is a precise measure of how broken the economics of Hawaii resort development have become. The collapse does not always look like ruins. Sometimes it just looks like nothing. Hawaii has been running this cycle for a long time. Outside money arrives certain the islands are the obvious investment. Something goes wrong. A hurricane, a stock market on the other side of the Pacific, a credit freeze timed to a groundbreaking, a community that said no from the start, or just the math of shipping materials across an ocean in the 2020s. What gets left behind are the buildings, or the empty lots, which tell the same story. These are not just ruins, they are receipts, paper trails of decisions made by people who were gone before the concrete dried, or in some cases, before it was ever poured. If you know one of these sites, or if there is one I missed, leave it in the comments. And subscribe for more stories the brochures leave out.